Good morning, everyone. It is 8:30. I'll call today's meeting of the Clay County Board of Commissioners to order. Our first item on the agenda today is our approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion offered from Commissioner Bear, second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The item carries. Citizens to be heard today. I see we have a few people that are wishing to address the board on items not on the agenda. Greg Silmer, would you like to go first?
No, but I will.
Well, you're welcome to.
Thank you. I live out in Hagen Township and received a letter a while ago about the state wanting to take some more of my property, actually my son-in-law's property, for protected waters. I've got one on my property as well from years ago, and I'm just here to say it's a rotten deal. Tried to find out where it all come from, and I got 3 or 4 groups all pointing at the other one. Asked the DNR, where did this come from? Who decided that we needed to do this? And they point at the legislature. And you talk to legislatures, they say it came from the DNR or from somebody else. I think where it actually comes from is Nature Conservancy and groups like that giving money to our legislators and saying, why don't you carry this water for us? So they pass a law and stick it to the DNR to come and give us heck. So that's really a rotten circle that drives this whole business. I spoke to your county, Matt, I think, I forget the office that he's in.
Yeah, planning, Matt Jacobson.
Planning and zoning, there you go. He said that there was, that this had come up here before and that there was nobody here to complain about it, so you figured everything was peachy. I just wanted to tell you that you guys have telephones too. There's maybe 9 or maybe 15 landowners that are affected by this. It wouldn't hurt you to pick up a phone and check it out too. It's kind of your job. You need to protect citizens from this kind of business. You got an attorney on staff. No reason you couldn't fight this in St. Paul. There's probably other counties that you could include in that, certainly the more rural counties, which we probably aren't one. You could just simply not enforce it. I think you're within your rights there. Tell the fish or the soil and water to look the other way. I'll read one thing here. It's from the 5th Amendment, it's the last sentence. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. That's really as far as you gotta look. It's the 5th Amendment of the Constitution. I'd be happy to give you a copy if you'd like one. I
Greg,
don't think you know it.
Greg, both Commissioner Bear and I have been part of these discussions as they're reviewing some of these things.
Yeah.
It's Commissioner Bear's and I's thought that the most important thing is to allow them to get out there to view that, because I think if folks are able to view that, we can see kind of what you're saying, that this is not necessarily areas in Clay County where water is currently running. If anything, it's
The one that runs through my farm, been there since late 70s, early 80s. I couldn't tell you exactly, but when that came through, they all said, anyone you talk to, soil and water, I don't think the DNR maybe even had an office up here then, but don't worry about it. We just need to catalog this. Nothing's ever going to come of it. Well, 30 years later, now it's 50 feet. What's to say 20 years from now, it's not 100 feet or 200 feet. Or they're coming for the county too. Every road ditch here is going to qualify under their 2 miles of drainage and a bottom and a bank. Well, that's every road ditch in the country. They want to control everything. They can't take care of what they got.
Any questions for Greg?
Have you started the process of making a comment?
Looked at it, it's so convoluted.
So
I'm
this,
65 years old, I'm not real tech savvy in the first place, so.
I'm also affected by this on some of the property I own. And I've started the process of making a comment. It is very difficult to work through the system to make a comment. It's a two-part comment. You make one online, then you print off a piece, and you take a number from your first comment, put it on the second piece that you printed off, and then you have to come up with a bunch of maps. I was wondering if we could have staff help these guys come up with the maps at least, so they don't have to struggle looking for the maps. And with the software and the flights that we took over last spring, we have good qualified maps for this to give as the maps that they need to generate.
So both Matt Jacobson and Mark Sloan are here. I think either one of you, if you could connect with them to help assist with making the comment period. We have started to give feedback to DNR on the comment period. It is problematic, Senator, in regards to this. Your comments today would not qualify as comments on the plan. They need to be as said in that specific document. That seems to be problematic for folks.
And it is a difficult maneuver online for a bunch of, older gentlemen that need to try to figure that out. And I'm struggling with it as well.
By design.
Yeah, it's by design to make it difficult. It's a two-part.
Person I talked to at the DNR would probably be the least helpful public servant I ever spoke to in my life.
All right, thank you, Greg. We'll
you.
make sure and connect you with staff. Any other?
Can I just
Yeah.
add,
Commissioner Campbell.
Soil and Water was here last week, I believe, was, we gave their update, and we talked a little bit about this, and I'm a little concerned about, what criteria they use to all of a sudden expand these waterways. We have just gentleman that just was here that just said that it's been that way for 30 years. So why the need for the expansion? I think we need to also ask some of those questions in terms of why they're expanding. I think we need to know what the criteria is, and I don't know what that criteria is. I don't know it. Mm-hmm. And we have citizens coming before us with concerns, and I have no idea what the DNR used to make up their use for logic as the reason why to add these additional waterways. So I think we need to ask some questions ourselves on that regard.
Commissioner Campbell, any other citizens wishing to address the board? Yep. Please introduce yourself and provide your address as well.
I'm Daryl Moore from Ulen, and I'm also affected by this. And we had, all of a sudden it showed up on the map, and that's what I'm wondering, what all of a sudden triggered the, let's add this on there. And I'm kind of like Greg there, if they take a little bit now and a little bit later, and it's kind of, our ancestors paid taxes on this land for 100 years, and now I'm paying the taxes, and then they want to have control. It's not really right, I don't think. And I guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Daryl. Anyone else?
I'm David Schneiderman from Ulen also. We're affected a little bit different. There's nothing being added on the property that I'm involved with there, but it's been on there supposedly since back in the 80s. That my uncles and Dwayne Erickson owns a piece right next to us that when it went on, nobody ever knew about it even. We went here, it was about 5-10 years ago, we wanted to went to the watershed to see about doing some work on the ditch. That's when we found out that it was a protected waterway. And the one that we've got, it's in section 1 and a little bit in section 2 of Ulen there. It's a protected waterway in Clay County, but it comes out of Norman County and goes back into Norman County. and it's not protected area. It doesn't make any sense. And I believe we can meet, at least I think we have to meet 2 criteria to try and get it removed, and I think we can meet them, but we have to go through this whole process, and it sounds pretty complicated, and I'm not that age too, that I'm not too tech savvy, so if we could get some help from you, let them know that we're not very happy about this, would be appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Yes, Commissioner Campbell.
I wonder if we could have, with Matt and Mark, do you guys have, Matt, you and Mark have cards with you here today? That you could give to these guys to, Mark, do you have one? Maybe Mark can give you guys a card, and that, he can help out with what Commissioner Bear talked about with the mapping part anyway. Mark can supply you with, or help you get the maps that are needed as part of that process.
Any other residents wishing to address the board? No? Same issue? Anyone else wishing to address the board? Steve, have we had any online correspondence?
I'd spoke with Mr. Schneider earlier, but no other public comments.
Okay. We really appreciate all of you coming forward. This has been a dialogue that several of us have had concerns with this process, making sure, one, it seems to be a rather expedited process the DNR is running in regards to adding and potentially taking off in other counties, not in Clay County, these waterways, and making sure that we have all of your insight and input is really important in that. I maintain that sometimes it's easier to update maps from a computer, but it's a lot more efficient to actually walk through the lay of the land and understand that. So my hope is that we can encourage some of that going forward so that we can get the best accurate information as DNR moves forward with updating these maps. So we will help you in any capacity we can.
Just one comment on that.
Commissioner Bear.
We have until February 20th to make sure you get your comments in. Otherwise, they do not count. So we have 10 days to get this completed. So just so you guys are aware of that.
Any other comments? Thank you. The next item is the approval of the payment of bills and vouchers.
I'll move to approve.
Motion offered from Commissioner Krabanoff to approve.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. The minutes from the January 27th, 2026 meeting were included in the packet.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of the minutes from January 27th, 2026.
Motion offered from Commissioner Ebinger to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The item carries. Item 2 today is our legislative update from Senator Rob Kupec. Good morning, Senator. Wherever you're most comfortable. Just make sure you've got a microphone that's green. Thanks for joining us today.
Sure, thank you. Thanks for having me today. I listened to Senator Johnson's breakdown of what he thought the legislative session looked like. He was spot on, so I don't feel like I need to review any of that. That was all probably covered last week. I'll tell you, I've got, looking forward, I'll tell you a few things that I'm working on this session, things that you might be of interest to you. I know we've got some legislation about ag land preservation around solar and use of prime ag land, making sure that prime ag land isn't taken up by solar. So I know I've got a bill that I'll be working on that. The grain indemnity fund on the ag side, which was basically a way to cover farmers when their grain is in storage. We've used it for the first time this year. There was a company out of Omaha that went bankrupt, and there's been some elevators, and there's a couple of people here in the western part of the state too that have been affected by this. It's working fine. We have plenty of money to cover it. But every time, when you use something for the first time, the ag department's come back and said there's a few things probably we need to tweak to make it, a little bit more efficient, to make sure that the state is recouping all the money they can from the bankruptcy. So that'll be something to work on. Obviously, it's hopefully going to be a bonding year. The chatter early on is that bonding looks promising, so we're very hopeful on that. And obviously, flooding and getting the non-secure part of our project done here on the PRTF is super important, top of the list. The rural water district also in the northern part of Clay County coming in from the north also be looking for some funding. And along that line too, because it is a policy year, those people that have been working on that rural water in the northern part, the process to do that is awful. It's terrible. It's convoluted, and this is we need to move in this direction. Just for a lot of rural communities, pooling your resources is a much better way to go. So thanks to them for navigating this, but we need to make that process of doing that easier to navigate, because I know in Otter Tail County there's another project that eventually might even work its way into the southern part of Clay County. We need to make that process just a lot cleaner to do that, because I think there's going to be a lot of places looking forward to try to update their infrastructure. And some other kind of one-off things. I've had one constituent in particular, long-term partnership insurance, which is for basically long-term care. There's an inflationary on that, and there's very few people on it. If you get the non-inflationary policy, it saves that person a lot of money. Probably in the end doesn't even cost the state any money to make that change. So that's a weird kind of wonky policy area, but it's a good policy here. And both Moorhead and Dilworth have expressed interest in forming social districts, which is certain times of the year where you can walk between places with an open container. We've had a couple of trials down in, I think it's Anoka and in Shakopee. It's gone really well. We tried last year to expand it, but sometimes when a community has something that nobody else has, they want to keep that kind of monopoly going. Not that they care about probably anything up in Clay County, but they're concerned about some of their neighbors within the Twin Cities getting that. So maybe there's a creative way that we can open it up outside of the 7-county metro. Love that 7-county metro exemption in there. On schools, I know there's some things about safety and also about just being able to move funding between buckets of money that would really help when things are a little bit tight, to help out schools, loosen it up. Won't cost the state really anything to do that. Maybe, I don't know if you've heard anybody talk to you about chiropractic care. The governor was very insistent last year that we cut Medicare, Medicaid funding for chiropractic care. In his budget spreadsheet, it saved a little bit of money. I think in the end, it probably saves no money, because those people are still entitled to care and they're going to go someplace else to get it. And the chiropractors will offer that care at a much more reduced rate. So certainly a lot of our local chiropractors are pretty upset about this. I have offered myself as the lead author to try to restore that funding to chiropractic care. It's one of those things that if we can creatively show how it will actually save the state money, maybe even in a non-budget year, that could be something we could get done. IT modernization grants. I had that bill last year for the counties to get that done. It is obviously not a budget year. It's still out there. It's still an important thing. And I think for whatever reason, maybe it's credit on you. I mean, I was well aware of this. AMC has talked to me. I was well aware. We had some hearings on a different related subject, and some other counties came, and other legislators were like, seemed to be just newly finding out about the fact that these things don't talk very well together, and we need to do that. So still working on that. Commissioner Mojo and I talked about some regulations around kratom. There is a bill I am not the chief author of, but there's a bill about having some regulations. I've agreed to sign on to that, so that'll be something we'll be taking up. Sustainable aviation fuel, we still need to expand that tax credit on that. to make sure that the plant that potentially is coming here to Clay County is still on track. That will be not only a huge benefit of jobs, the property tax on the plant will certainly be a huge bonus to the county, the city, the school district, so we'll work on that. And on electronic waste recycling, I think we might actually have at least come to an agreement about batteries. Maybe we can get something done on batteries. They're a huge fire hazard. The fire insurance that we're paying on facilities that handle waste because of these batteries is through the roof, so that would save money there. And even just the firefighting apparatus in some places we're having to put in to prevent these fires is a huge cost. So we might, I'm optimistic maybe we can do the other electronic waste, but it seems like we've been working through the interim with all the stakeholders, and it seems like we may be able to get somewhere on batteries. So with that, and I will mention, for the citizens that testified behind, nobody has reached out to my office about this. So I've not gotten an email or phone call or anything on this. And I'm not on those environment committees, but I know last year we were trying to make sure that there was not this expansion of these waterways and legislatively, and the compromise we made was that we would take an inventory.
Right.
And that was the compromise. So if I'm hearing that the DNR is somehow expanding this, that may be in their rules, but I am more than happy to dig in on that. And if we need to get, if this process is, and I believe fully that this is a complicated process because a lot of these agencies don't make anything easy. Even as legislators, they don't make anything easy. But if we need to get somebody from the DNR to come up or at least talk to people or even do a Zoom call or something, I am happy to try to be a conduit to facilitate that.
I really do appreciate that. They're, as part of the inventory, they're reviewing the 4 counties this first go-round, and we were lucky enough to be part of the first round of that. And they did have a meeting at the Yum-Cumps, and folks were providing comments, but the reality was they were not being entered into the comment pool, even with that feedback. And so it is problematic. I'm hopeful because this is the first of the rounds that, they're open to tweaking how they receive the input. But it is odd to me, given that you're on ag, that they did not let you know that either. And so would appreciate any help you can.
No, because in my mind, an inventory is like, okay, let's just go out and assess. And that's a reasonable thing to do. We want to know what's out there. But I did not think that taking an inventory meant that they had some kind of carte blanche to go and change things.
Yeah, they're
okay, we have these waterways and here's what we have. That's good information to know. But changing things is not the idea, the intent certainly that we had of taking an inventory.
right. And where it kind of plays to where it might raise your awareness as well. Obviously, the counties are allotted buffer strip implementation dollars, and as we're adding additional waterways as part of this, that really effectively will change what counties and SWCDs will need to allocate to make sure that those have, they're under the buffer strip regulation as well. And I know that was part of a conversation that was potentially a cutting spot for saving dollars statewide and not wanting to have landowners left by the wayside, or counties or SWCDs with what those fees will incur is important for you to know about. Any comments on that one particularly? Well, I know for us, we've had the opportunity to meet with you a number of times in the last several weeks, but particularly over the last legislative session. So a lot of what you've talked about this update is something that we're well aware of, and we're glad to continue to work with you on this. But thank you for being always available to us. I know there's been times when you've called to say there's an opportunity to testify in the next 24 hours. Can someone from Clay get down there? So thanks for letting us know about that. And thanks also for connecting us with your colleagues, as we know that it takes more than just one senator to get things done. And you've really helped us to branch out with leadership across the aisle as well. So I appreciate that. Any comments? Yes.
Only to reiterate what she just said. So once again, thank you for ease of communication, constant, right, almost. And I thought the biggest thing is Commissioner and I go down to the St. Paul area, the meeting of your other colleagues has been just huge. And to have those relationships coming, whether through you or, our other representatives, is so important to what happens. And I guess as we work toward bonding, you've been key in that and helping us. So thank you.
Any other feedback? All right, you got 1 week to relax.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. No, I have meetings already. No, but I will say, and I want to thank you because I think you've done a really good work, especially highlighting the need for mental health, and that this county has really stepped up where other counties have not done that, and so that's really appreciative. And I think at the state level, it is also appreciative. And we have a unique, I think we get lumped into Greater Minnesota. Here in Clay County, we're a very unique part of Greater Minnesota because we are attached to this metro area. We have a different story, I think, to tell, and I think it's been great that when you've come down and been able to share that with some of my colleagues because they're not always aware of this is a very different dynamic out here in this part of Western Minnesota. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thanks for coming.
Item 3 this morning will be annual department update from GIS and Communications. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Madam Chair, Commissioners, I am so excited to be here to tell you what we've been doing and what we're going to be doing. Our small, mighty little department. Our job is to deliver information. That's what we do. Either through the GIS side or the communication side, we're delivering data and information through websites and maps and all sorts of a wide variety of different tools that we use to get the data that the county has to the people that need it. And so we are always looking at how do we do that better, more effectively, more cost effectively, and more accurately. So that's one of the things we're constantly working on. We have four staff right now. The four of us we've got myself, we've got a GIS coordinator, a GIS technician, a communications coordinator position is vacant, if you remember that, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then we have our communications specialist, who is in the other room right now, recording us. We are divided into two separate divisions, which really overlap a lot. Our staff kind of go back and forth between what they do, but we have two kind of focus areas, which is the geographic information system as well as the communications side. We serve not only the general public and all of the citizens of Clay County, we also serve all of our departments and some of our partner agencies that we work with, specifically small cities, townships. We do stuff for those groups also. This is a slide I put together. Actually, I didn't put this together. I had my friend ChatGPT put this slide together. But it talks about all of the main target areas that we do in the GIS world. Stuff everywhere from generating addresses. I'm the addressing authority for Clay County still. One of the big things we do with that is we generate data for next generation 911 as well as for use in the regional dispatch center. So all the data that the dispatchers are using to send emergency responders out is coming from us. And we keep that current and we make sure that it's as accurate as we can possibly make it. We are always looking at making sure our parcel information is correct that you see online. That's being updated daily as soon as changes come through. Another thing we've been working on for a long time, we've talked about many times, is the section corner remonumentation project. That's a big deal, and it's been working well for us. And we are, now that information from those remonumented corners is coming in, we have new coordinate information for them. So we have been updating the maps accordingly. So that's actually, that process is making its way through, and it's working very effectively. I think it's a really good use of our time and resources. Okay. In 2025, we added one of the biggest things we did, if you remember back, our GIS technician position had been a part-time position forever. In the earliest days, we used students usually college students. We'd hire them, and we were used a lot of technician help to generate data. We had them out in the field collecting stuff. But over time, what that position was needing to do for us kind of changed. So in 2025, we moved that position from part-time to full-time, and now it is much more technical, and that GIS technician now is the person that's actually making sure that the data in our parcel fabric is current. She updates that as soon as she can. She's the one that's producing the maps for us, like the township maps we just made. She does all those kind of tasks for us, so we've got her to do all those daily things that are constantly being undertaken. What that's done for us is it's freed up our GIS coordinator to do more higher-level technical stuff, and some of that includes development of applications that we're using. Like one of the ones is last year we created a sign inventory program for our highway sign crew, and it actually runs on an iPad in their truck, and when they put a sign out, they record it. It keeps track of all the parts that are needed, when the sign was installed, all this stuff, and that way they can go through that same program and look at what do they need, what signs they're going to be replacing or placing. They can look that stuff up even before they go to the field. Our GIS coordinator earned her GISP last year, which is a certified GIS professional. It's a big deal in the GIS world. It's kind of similar to becoming a professional engineer in that world. It's a big thing for us. We really support that because it tells us, one, that we have a staff person who's highly skilled at what they do, and secondly, it gives us some credibility into the work that we're producing as it's coming from a certified professional. Another project that we created last year was the real-time storm damage dashboard, which is used by our emergency management. They actually have these. They hand out, when there's a storm or something, they'll hand out these cards, and they've got a QR code, and you scan the QR code, you record the damage, like the tree down or the damage, wherever it gets stored into a database, and then emergency managers are able to use that for the FEMA claims and all that kind of stuff. So it makes that whole process a whole lot more effective, and we're actually using crowdsourcing then to bring that data in without having to send staff out to all those things.
Mark, will you have those available at the township meeting to make sure we give to township supervisors, understanding that there's not an emergency at that meeting, however, having it on hand would be helpful.
That's a great idea. Yes, I have a list for those guys.
Okay, thanks.
But, yeah, we'll do that. Zoning map, we redid how that's working, and how the data is behind that, and then we had a new interactive tax forfeiture property sales tool and a new corner map. The section corner information we talked about briefly before, now you can go online, actually, not that most of us care, but surveyors can go online and actually use a map and look up the documents that are tied to that corner without having to come to the recorder's office or any of those kind of things. They can look it up right through a map. It's much more effective and faster for them. In 2026, what are we working on? Remember these things? They're not as popular as they once used to be. One of the problems we've had with it is we produce the printed folded highway map, it's called, not as often as we used to. We're having a hard time finding a printer. There's companies that just aren't, they used to be everywhere, now but we've found one. But for the first time ever, we have produced this map in-house, the product that will be printed. So that is just being finished now, that's under review, and then we will send that to print. So hopefully there'll be a 2026 version of this coming out very soon. It's kind of a big deal that we're doing it in-house because it's taken quite a bit of resources to do, and we wouldn't have had that capability before. We didn't have enough. Now that the GIS technician is full-time, it's able to help us do that kind of thing.
Thank you for doing that. I used it last night at the Buffalo Red.
They're good. I'm glad. Yeah, they're popular for some of us. I mean, not as, I could talk for hours about how we've changed from paper to electronic, but.
Used a map like that in years.
Yeah. Facilities management, we're working on updating we've been working for quite a while on that. We keep adding more and more capacity and capabilities to what we can provide those folks. We actually have it's basically a GIS like we have for the county of all of our buildings, of all 22 buildings, and it includes everything from doors to air handling systems, the whole works, so that they can keep track of that stuff through there. We have a new tool coming out called the Parcel Lineage Mapping Tool, which is for people that deal with property titles. They'll be able to look at some of the history of where those parcels are from. That should be coming out this spring sometime. Land records data management is something we are always trying to improve that process. The GIS hub site is how we deliver data. GIS data is used by a lot of organizations. There's a lot. I don't actually know how many, because since 1999 we provided our GIS data free of charge on our website for people to download, and it's been used by a lot of groups, and everywhere from local jurisdictions to engineering firms to a lot of other companies. How we deliver that data is changing. We have got a different site that we're using to do that, and it's going to make it hopefully more effective and easier for us to manage. And it's just, as we're part of our continuous improvement, we're trying to make that better. And then, of course, I already mentioned it, but we're redrawing our tax parcels to align with surveyed section corners, and that's cleaning up our maps. We're way on the eastern edge of the county right now in the Barnesville area. We're trying to get those pieces up to date. On statewide side, I wanted to mention that we have staff that are active in what's called the Pine to Prairie GIS Users Group, which is out of Fergus Falls. They meet and a bunch of folks get together and talk about stuff. In Minnesota, there's something called the Minnesota GIS LIS Consortium, which is all the people in Minnesota that work in that field. 700-800 of us, I guess, something like that. They host a conference in the fall. It's the biggest organization in the state. Our GIS coordinator, Mandy Olson, was elected to the board of directors at Minnesota GIS LIS this last month. She represents local government on that board now, so that's a good thing for us. We have a representation there at that state level. And then on the Minnesota Geographic Information Systems Association, or MCGISA it's called, is an organization of counties in Minnesota and the GIS people that work in those. I serve as a treasurer for that. I was one of the founders, but that group is all the people in counties that do GIS, because what we found is every county is doing the same stuff. You know, they're a county. They got the same major tasks. And some counties have one GIS person and some have more. So if we're able to share information and knowledge, it works, it helps everybody. So to facilitate that, we host something called Tea Time, where we get to spill the tea, I guess is the term. Every other week, every other Tuesday, I host it, and myself and Mandy in my office, and we have anywhere from 25 to 40 people join, and they're just other GIS folks from other counties all across the state, and they show up with a question or a comment or an idea, and it's a really super awesome way of exchanging information and helping everybody learn. Okay. All right, now I want to talk about communications. Communications, we do a lot of different things too. We do some technical services, we do printed materials. We are always looking at what our social media websites are doing. Streaming meetings is some big thing we do. We publish the Bits of Clay every month. We facilitate the website and all the stuff that are on that. We do all the signage for all the buildings, those kind of things. One of the things we do is digital signage. Like there's one right here out in the hallway that is showing this meeting at the moment, but the rest of the time it's a digital sign. We have 21 of those now throughout the county, so they're well used, and we make sure that the content on those is appropriate. All right, I want to talk about a little bit what we did in 2025. 2025 was really a good year. I think in the communication side, we had a communications coordinator. It was doing quite a bit of progressive stuff for us. One of the big things we did, we streamed 60 meetings like this one. We produced a promotional video for the non-secure facility. That was, so just the story on that video, the script was written by me and my friend ChatGPT, and then we used a different AI to make the voiceover. So I did that part of it. Tim does the video recordings and all the editing, and we put it together. Just yesterday, we edited that video to make sure that we included, now that we have 29 counties in support, so we have updated the graphics and all that stuff in the video and put a new copy of it out. when we do that, we can't replace it, so it comes out with a new website link. So the link to the video is different. If you have the brochure that we put together, it's got this QR code. We'll always keep that code pointing to the right video.
The
So
QR code is fine, it's just the ad.
exactly.
I did notice that it must have changed yesterday because I did look that up on YouTube and see that we had minimal views, and it was
Yeah.
surprising to me. So
No,
now
it was
you
'cause it's
answered
a-
a question that came up.
There you are. Yeah, it was a brand-new version that,
Last
we
night.
just updated that part. Steve sent us a message that, oh, we have another county that supports it.
Great, thank you.
So we'll keep that always current. So that's something we'll continue to make videos when we can. We manage the website. We did some printed materials like these cards. One of the biggest lifts we did last year was the county code online, the recodification of the county code. That was a project that was 20-plus years in the making, and that is now working well for us, I hope. I haven't heard any complaints, but it's a big lift, and it's been a great change for us. Another really huge project that's still underway is how we do our online forms. Forms is a big thing. How we get people to fill them out. We were always looking for a better way to do it, something that was mobile-friendly, secure. There's a lot of different things we have to do, and the biggest piece we've added just recently is the capability to accept payment through forms. So that opens a whole new door for us to do things like permits and stuff like that using a form. So that is something we're actively working on right now. Okay. 2026, we're going to continue to do our websites. We're going to create some quality graphic signage, keep producing videos. We'll use AI as much as possible, and to try to increase productivity. One of the things I wanted to mention here is some of the things we aren't doing so much, because if you remember the conversation we had a few months back, we decided not to replace the communications coordinator at this time. So we lost some of our capability and our responsiveness. The direct impact of that is we don't quite have the resources to do some of the projects we had, like some of these things, some of the progressive stuff we were doing to try to get the website updated. We're just not as reactive. We're a little bit, or I guess we're more reactive now and less planned. We'll keep plugging best we can, but we're down a staff person, so it's probably the biggest thing you'll see the change on is our social media side. Right now, the only social media posts we really have going out now is jobs and closings, and it's pretty basic. Just because I don't have the resources to do much more than that, so we'll do what we can, but we'll keep moving along as best we can to keep information flowing to where we need it to go. All right, so one of the things I want to talk about then coming up, the big project in 2026 is something called ADA compliance. All local governments with a population of 50,000 or greater in the whole country have to have something called ADA compliance in place by April 24th, 2026. So a couple months from now. We've been working on this for a while. We know this was coming, and we've been preparing for this. What it really talks about is making sure that the data we're providing to our citizens through our online systems is accessible to all of our citizens, regardless of their abilities or not, which means there's things we can do to make sure that they work well with people with their sight impaired or hearing impaired, or a lot of different things that we can address. So we've been working through some processes to make sure that we are compliant, and we have been putting into place some software applications that help us with that. So what we're doing specifically here at Clay County, we use our main website is a Civic Plus Central website, which has it's designed to be more compliant and have some better accessibility features built into it. We added a software package called Doc Access, which makes our documents that are attached to our website accessible. We use something called Audio Eye, which gives us a way of making the website itself work for people. And then we use another package called Acquia. Acquia is a system we use that scans our entire online stuff, everything, and comes back with a report. And we scan weekly, and then what we do is go through that report and look for things that can be fixed or updated. So it's quite a bit of stuff we're trying to do, but in the tech world right now, the big talk is ADA compliance, especially in local government. Everybody's rushing to get ready. We are really in good shape here at Clay County, I think. We've got some more work to do, but we are going to be doing pretty well. And what I want to do now is show you how that looks. So one of the tools I mentioned, these are one of our pages on our website. These are just our main county website. One of the tools we use on here is something called Audio Eye. Audio Eye is this little dude in the bottom right corner. He's a little blue guy down here. I don't know if you can see him. But if I open him, he allows us, the user, to adjust the website to make it usable or more visible to them. And they can change the colors, they can change text size, whatever they need to do. Spacings, they can adjust it to make it easier to read. So it's packaged right into our stuff. It's right there. And I didn't even realize until we bought or signed on to the Audio Eye thing how many other websites have it. You start seeing it all the time, the little guy in the corner. I didn't even realize he was there because I don't use it personally, but it's a really powerful tool. And it allows the end user to adjust how the site looks. So what Tim has been actively doing is going through the site itself and looking at everything and making sure that it is amenable to this and works with it. And if it's not, he's been trying to address those issues. Where we run into problems mostly is with graphics, making sure the graphics come out and work well. The other tool I want to talk to you about is, you may have even noticed it, is doc access. So on our website, we have a lot of documents, PDFs specifically, that are out there that the Audio Eye tool doesn't work on. So we had to come up with another solution for that. So like, here's a good example. So when you go to download the agenda thing, if you may have noticed, there's now more choices. We have accessible PDF or plain or accessible agenda packet. So when you pick that, what it actually does is it gives you this little button on the top left where it says print view, which is the standard view you would have seen, or you can go to accessible and it converts it to a different format. So let me scroll down here so I can find something. Like here's this nice little graphic of employees. Yeah, we'll just do that. You turn it on. It fixes it so that a screen reader or whatever it might happen to be can read it much better. It does a phenomenal job with scanned documents. And another cool thing it has built into it is it makes it totally able to be in any language you want. So now it's in Spanish. So our agenda packet's in Spanish that fast without our staff having to do any extra work. This works on all the documents on our website, which there's thousands of those. So it's a really super powerful tool for us to make sure that our information is able to be viewed by all of our citizens is really what we're trying to do. And I think that Clay County is in a really good position right now. So you may hear about this through some of your other counties, because some counties are kind of panicking. We're a lot more proactive in that we're ready. I think we're in a really good shape. So with that, I will ask if you have any questions.
Any questions? Yes, Commissioner Abigail?
Yeah, I just want to, Mark's work and his team's work has been really, he's quiet about it, but it's been outstanding. It started with the 911, next generation 911 issues that we had through public safety here, 3 years ago? And the transition had to be made in every county. And there were, as always, there were counties that were right on top of it, that had massive staff and could do these things. And there were other counties that didn't quite have the ability to meet all the demands. We kind of became the poster boy of how you can do it. And I had a number of people at DPS and emergency communications saying, man, you guys are really, you've got it hammered. You're doing a remarkable job. And we look at the stuff that's happened since. We really are grateful to what you and your small team are doing. And this is moving us forward. One complaint. Commissioner Da, not Commissioner Dole. Commissioner Mojo, You were misrepresented in Spanish there as being a guy.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
second week in a row. Anything else? Well, Mark, thank you so much. You and your department have always been really available whenever I have a question, or similar to today when residents had concerns. We were very quick to point them your direction. Thanks for being so responsive to the needs of our citizens, and again, making sure information is accessible in the most efficient and effective way possible is what you do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
It's an honor to serve.
Thank you. All right, item 4, request approval to purchase laptop computers. Hello?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. My first item this morning is to purchase 100 laptops. We received 3 different quotations for this. I'll start with the lowest here. Dell through SHI came in at $133,250. HP at $140,980, and Bytespeed at $145,000 even. And the request today would be to purchase the lowest quote of 100 Dell laptops through SHI for $133,250, and this would be funded through our internal services funding source.
Rory, these are planned purchases that have been part of a long-term replacement
Correct.
process.
Yep, that's just annual replacement of rotating out the older machines for the newer ones.
Yes, Commissioner Kent.
Thank you. I'm wondering about, do you put out specifications for these where they have to have a certain amount of this and a certain amount of that? And
Yep. Actually, I send all the vendors or resellers the exact same specifications, and then they, same processor, same amount of memory, and then they all come back with the exact same.
the reason I asked that question, I'm sure some citizens might, because everybody in the private world also buys laptops. I just happened to buy one. And the one that I bought, I think, was $700 and some.
Sure.
And and so when we see these being at 1,335, somebody might be saying, well, why are we spending that much when others can be purchased for less?
Oh, right. Well, and there's different grades, so,
Yeah, that's why I asked you about the specs.
Yeah. So in your example, you're buying a consumer grade, whereas we're buying a business grade laptop. So a little bit better battery life, a little more horsepower here to get us through the next 4 or 5 years. Try to extend those, extend the replacement needs of those laptops.
In the Microsoft 365 or whatever, that's separate, right?
Correct. Yep, that'll be software based. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion for approval of 100 Dell laptops through SHI in the amount of $133,250.
We have a motion offered for approval from Commissioner Ebinger,
I'll second.
a second from Commissioner Kravinoff. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Item 5 is a request approval to purchase the desktops.
So same thing, now just desktop computers here. So with the last request, we have more laptops out with our staff than we do desktops, of course, just with the modern world we live in and working from anywhere. So with this request, 50 desktop computers through Bytespeed is our request. We did receive 3 quotes on this as well. So Bytespeed came in at $58,950. Dell came in at $59,700, and HP at $60,420. And we're asking for the lowest quote through Bytespeed in the amount of $58,950.
Same question as before. This is something that's been planned as
Yes.
part of a
Yep,
purchase
through
program.
internal service funding and, annual replacement.
Okay. Questions from the board?
One question for staff.
Commissioner Bear?
Are we keeping up with the internal funding for these?
We are, yep. If you remember at my department update last week, I mentioned how AI is really driving up the cost of these. I think we're fine to sustain what we have for the next couple of years here, and I don't see any need to increase it more than we typically would.
Then one other thing, a desktop computer is cheaper than a laptop, huh? Or is there,
Yeah, in this case, it is. I mean, it's pretty similar. I can't remember how much the exact price per, so just under $1,200 versus, what was it about?
a little over 13?
Yeah, a little over 13. Yep. And, yeah, somehow they're still spent, previous years, they've always been pretty similar, probably within $25 of each other. And just to kind of give you an idea, between these two requests, the laptops and desktops, the difference between last year versus AI driving up costs is about $65,000 difference, just from year to year, just because of the shortage and the demand.
Mr. Campbell?
Do you foresee a time when desktops are gonna be a thing of the past, or?
We could sure do that anytime we're ready, but it,
I guess I'm wondering why we,
there's certain,
With today's
certain spots
technology.
where, if you think of maybe jail booking, where it's a shared machine,
I can see that.
coming and going. So we still have quite a few of those spots where there's shared desks or desks that are, or positions maybe that aren't allowed to work from home. So then a desktop makes more sense.
Yeah, I certainly know that we have a lot of areas, I think even at our DMV, I think we have a couple of them where the customers can come in and do things, and I think that type of thing is appropriate, but I was just curious about desktops in general. It just seems to me that these are so handy the way they are nowadays, that
Yeah, there's
everything's remote and
definitely a lot less than there used to be, for sure.
less hard wiring.
Yep.
Just curious, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of 50 desktop computers through Bytespeed in the amount of $58,950.
We have a motion offered from Commissioner Bear, a second from Commissioner Campbell. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign. Carried. Thank you again for this.
Thank you.
Item 6, request approval to adjust the Clay County Board of Commissioner meeting schedule. Mr. Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next two items really are in combination, and probably in reviewing it, probably would make sense to have number 7 first rather than 6. Flip-flop those, but the next item pertains to a public hearing that we're going to be having, or that you'll be considering for the shotgun rifle zone discussion in April. And with that, we would be holding that in the evening, so we would be able to have more participants from the public. And so we would be making a request to move our board meeting to hold that prior to that till at 5 p.m. on April 7th.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. This came out of the work group that we had last week. It was a general understanding. This is what the board direction wanted to be to facilitate the most input from the residents of the county.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the time change from 8:30 to 5 p.m. on Tuesday, April 7th, 2020.
Motion offered from
Second.
Commissioner Campbell, a second from Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Item 7 then.
The item, next item is, as we had mentioned last week, this board had a work session group to discuss the change in Minnesota statute to 97B.031, which eliminated the longstanding shotgun zone only, rifle restricted zones. With the state legislative change, the entire state adopted a rifle zone through the statute. It allows county boards to adopt ordinances which would limit the firearms used for deer hunting in their jurisdictions.
At that meeting, there was enough discussion where this board asked to have a public hearing. We are looking to set a public hearing today at April 7th at 6:30 PM to discuss possible ordinances. At that meeting, we will have several, as part of that meeting, we'll have several ordinances for the board to consider. And with that, I would yield for any questions.
Question, Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah, as Commissioner Mojo mentioned, that we did discuss this at our work group session, and it's a great idea to have this public hearing. Also during that work session, we had a couple of questions that we raised regarding how you could potentially set up, rather than one, multiple, whatever, the mapping. And I would like our board to have the answers to those questions prior to that meeting.
Sounds good.
So, so whatever you can do to have that information to us so that we know what those answers are prior to the public hearing would be good.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Campbell, I know that Sheriff Empton has reached out to the DNR. I don't believe that he's received some of those answers yet, but we will have those to you prior to the public hearing.
Madam Chair, I would also then move set a public hearing on April 7th, 2026 at 6:30 PM to discuss shotgun-only rifle restricted zones and draft ordinance in Clay County.
Second.
We have a motion offered and a second. Clarification, that would just be for the public hearing. We're not advertising that an action would happen in that.
Madam Chair, you would have the potential to make that decision, but the options will be before you, and so that there would still be time if you wanted to defer for a following week to make that decision. We just have to have that decision made by May 5th, I believe.
Correct. Any further discussion from the board? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just ask, how are we going to get this word out to,
I think that we are required to advertise for any public hearing. That includes an ordinance. And so that will happen. I anticipate that we'll also be using our social media platforms to make that announcement.
Well, this meeting will happen after the township officers meeting, so we will be able to communicate to them, to triage communication that way. We'll have two planning commission meetings in that amount of time as well. We typically update and provide, insight on those pieces at that meeting, making sure that we're communicating and doing the best to spread the word about it is important.
there certainly is a lot of interest in this.
We voted on that, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Steve. We'll take a 5-minute break. All right, we are back. Thank you. Looking for committee reports. Dave, I'm going to start with you. I always start on that end.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week, on the 3rd, on Tuesday, we had our Clay County Board work session on items that we covered today. On the 4th, on Wednesday, I attended the Chamber Minnesota Legislative Preview, which was very informative. It was helpful. We appreciate. I'm getting behind here on my notes. Give me a second. I didn't know I'd have 3 weeks in a row where I'm the first one you call.
I'm always going to be this.
this was work towards our establishment of our legislative priorities, but we were the chamber provided us with a venue in which we heard from our local legislators, to include Senator Kupec, Representative Joy, and I'm trying to remember the name of the other senator we had.
Senator Johnson,
Senator Johnson, and we had a fourth, I think, a
Representative
representative.
Gander.
Gander, yes. They were informative, they listened to our priorities, it was an overall good meeting. And again, thank you to the chamber for sponsoring it. It's a valuable thing for us as a commission to have these venues. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Ebinger. Commissioner Krabbenhoft?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, going back to last Tuesday, the commission work group meeting we had, laying out what we voted on today for the public hearing and discussing the shotgun zone possibility and getting that public hearing lined up. Also was stated about our priorities, and if I'm just going to mention them quick. They were part of our consent agenda. Flood mitigation, bonding with that. Non-secure facility funding through bonding, and then other social service modernization, 911 emergency response funding, and solid waste management. They call it SCORE funding. So just wanted to make mention of those. Also, coming on Wednesday then, on the 4th, we had the, met with our lobbyists earlier in the day for the non-secured facility. Again, session opens on the 18th of this month, and getting prepared for when that happens and our next steps. I know contacts by the lobbyists is being made to two other legislative people prior to session starting. And then already mentioned by Commissioner Ebinger was about the legislative review or preview that we had with our representatives from our area. I appreciate all of them coming. It's been nice over the last 2 weeks being in front of them for so much. It feels a little, well, it just really feels like good relationships all around that make it so much easier for the work that we do by having those relationships and friendships, for that matter, ongoing. Then last Saturday, I had another meeting as being on the executive board and also on the finance committee for the Historical and Cultural Society. We have been looking at our funds and how to best utilize them. We have a fair amount of money in there that was meant to be for long-term giving. So we're moving forward to set up an endowment plan. It's actually a provisional one, a place to put this money to earn a better return on investment, with still some flexibility if we had a project or some other need to draw from it. So, but the intent of it is it'll be long-term, drawing a nice interest return, and then using that money in our operations. On Thursday, I had Children's Mental Health, our monthly meeting. I just have to express this. I've been part of this group for about 3 years, and the group is just tremendous. Working with providers and other entities that are involved in children's mental health in our area. There is no less than a dozen different entities that are part of this conversation. We had around, it was close to 30 people there. And how when we interact with each other in these meetings, there can be one concern and in this case, it was about some emergency funds. And all around the table, people from whether it's Lakeland or some response team or whatever, can give information to the others. Just really a way to elevate all our groups. And and the same thing's happening in adult mental health also. But these groups are, I just think, really on a roll on building, having good interaction with each other and making sure in the way of Clay County we're, bringing the best services we can to our community. Then yesterday, real quick, executive mental health executive committee setting up agenda, future presenters, and then last night I had the Buffalo Red monthly board meeting. Actually, one of the few times there were no permits or projects, but they did discuss using for a Whiskey Creek project down in Wilkin County, a source of funds through MPCA for water quality monitoring. And then they are close to, on Whiskey Creek, just a reminder, this comes down to an area we had on County Road 15, south of Baker, through that area that Whiskey Creek in the South Tributary is under review and then looking to be worked with for flood mitigation. And so the appraisal rates are coming in. They were discussed at some length, and on February 17th, we'll actually have the landowner meeting at that time to determine what rates might look like, and also the ongoing process of that clean out and redesign. So that's my meetings.
Thank you, Commissioner Kavanaugh. Commissioner Campbell?
On February 2nd, at our last board meeting, I believe I neglected to report on a meeting that we had on Monday, the February 2nd, with the state, both the DFL and the Republican Party staff members regarding getting clarification on our bonding request and what our within the diversion project and what the priorities were. So we had a lengthy discussion with them. I'm glad they were reached out to us to get some clarification. On February 3rd, we had a highway tracking committee meeting. It's going to be coming before us. There's one engineering technician that's leaving soon, and another one is going to be leaving, I believe it's in May, with the early retirement incentive. So Dave, one of those we need to get, I'm pretty sure he's going to be coming next week on that, replacing one of those right away. He gave us information on the County State Highway number 11 RFP, and then we set the time frame for the township maintenance contracts. We're going to be meeting with Ann on March 3rd, and then looking for a meeting at Highway Department with the township officials on March 5th. And then board approval on March 10th. And then there's some update on pavement testing for CSA 11 and CSA 34. And he our highway engineer then also talked to us about plans for equipment purchases and the 5-year plan update. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Campbell. Commissioner Bear?
Last Tuesday, I was also at the work group, which was already discussed. On Wednesday, I was at the chamber event also, and I'd like to just give a thank you to all the legislators that could attend that. Some of them have to travel a little distance. I appreciate them coming down and visiting with us. Then last night, I went to Cromwell Township, Hagen, and Morgan Township, and went and then gave them an update on the county. And that was all the meetings I went to, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Bear. Last week, I also attended the Highway Committee, Highway Tracking meeting as updated well. The Clay County Work Group in which we all attended, thank you for the work at that one. And I attended the AMC Executive Committee meeting that afternoon. The next day, a Clay County Legislative Planning meeting as updated well by Commissioner Kravinoff. I also had the opportunity to attend the FMWF Chamber in the Minnesota Legislative Session. I appreciate the insight and participation. Senator Johnson, Senator Kupec, Representative Gander, and Representative Joy. Always really important to hear legislative priorities, but also hear how we can continue to move items forward and collaborate together. I attended the Buffalo Red River Watershed District Policy Committee meeting we had, and had the opportunity to attend the Minnesota Chamber Federation Town Hall briefing, and then the FMWF Chamber 2026 session planning meeting that we had yesterday. That concludes my reports. Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last Tuesday, participated in highway tracking and the work session that have both been covered thoroughly. On the 4th, I participated in our Strive meeting. Our focus is our intergovernmental retreat that we have on April 24th, working on that agenda. That afternoon, I participated in the Chamber Legislative Preview. Again, that's been well covered. On the 5th, I met with Derek LaPointe in his new role through Bill Bank, provided some insight into what he's going to be doing. Met that afternoon with Joe on a series of building issues in the county, and then also conducted his department head evaluation. On the 6th, I had department head evaluation with Mr. Sloan. Also on the 6th, participated in the MPCA follow-up meeting with the Budweiser settlement and the actions that the board took to move that plan forward to meet the deadlines from the legislature. On the 26th, we had a non-secure juvenile meeting, short meeting. On the 9th, met with briefly with Commissioner Kravinoff, also Sheriff Empting and Darren on a series of issues, and then participated in the West Fargo Chamber Legislative Planning meeting. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Brian, do you have an update?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thought I'd mention, listening to Mark Sloan talk about ADA compliance things, there are a lot of ADA compliance pieces that are going on. I'm sure across the state, but specifically within the court system. So we're working through our department with court administration. We had a meeting last week to work through. There's a lot of different things that are going on to adjust to make sure ADA compliance by April of 2026 occurs within the court systems. I did have some meeting discussions with Steve and Troy as well regarding ongoing matters with detox. Also a meeting with Quinn, along with discussions with Darren regarding a large-scale data practice request that's come across several departments, including both my own and social services. And then I did also have a meeting with Jason McCoy, Rory Beal, and Mark Empting regarding public health issues and potential future ordinances that may go in place regarding public health. So.
All right, thank you. Darren, do you have any update?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Most of my stuff has been covered already. I attended the third work session as well on the priorities in shotgun only hunting in Clay County. On the 4th, the Strive for Excellence meeting, I had participated in that, talking about the management retreat on the 24th of April. I had a meeting with Rory also on the 4th to discuss some personnel issues. And on the 4th, Clay County legislation planning and session, which has already been covered, and the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber of Commerce attended all of those as well. On the 5th, I had a discussion with Matt from Planning and Zoning. Had a phone call with Highway Business Agent regarding some movement that we're going to be bringing to the PIC here. And then also, as Brian mentioned, on the 5th, 8 data requests came in. They're fairly large, and so we're kind of trying to get through those. On the 6th, I worked with our sergeant's union bargaining unit with comps and union negotiations. And also started work on setting up the UKG budget spreadsheet for the 2027 budget, which I'm sure nobody wants to talk about right now, but, and continued on the work on the union contracts on the 9th yesterday as well. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Sarah. Do you have anything? All right, our next item is a closed session regarding a discussion regarding labor negotiations per Minnesota statute 13D-03.
Madam Chair, I'll move to closed session.
Okay, motion from Commissioner Bear to go into closed session.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried. We're in closed session. All right, we are back in session. Our next Monday, the 16th, the all county courthouse and office buildings will be closed in recognition of President's Day. So our next Board of Commissioners will be February 17th at 8:30. With no more business before the board, we are adjourned.